Hey, John Proulx here. You know, one of the coolest techniques to add emotion to your music is to modulate from one key to another. Today I'm going to show you 5 techniques on how to modulate from one key to another using 10 well-known songs. I'm really excited to show you how it's done. So you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Music Modulation 5 Essential Techniques. So why do we use modulation? Well, we use modulation to add emotion to a piece of music, right? It really lifts the music if we modulate. And there are certain times in music that we use modulation. One way it can happen is at the end of the song. Let's say we play a whole time through one time, and we, rather than going back and play it in the same key, we might lift it up a half step to go to a new key. Another time you might see modulation is at the end of a bridge. Some songs are written like, A, B, A. And so maybe at the end of the bridge, maybe there's a little bit of a modulation to lift the emotional feel for that last A section. We're going to start with this first technique where we're going to be going up a half step, which one of the most typical ways we would modulate up is by going up a half step. So if we're in the key of C, for example, up a half step would be D flat. One way we accomplish this is by having the root becoming the major third. So the root of the melody, for example, becoming the major third of the 5 chord in the new key. So let me explain that again. The root of the melody becomes the major third of the 5 chord. In this case, it'd be an A flat major, because A flat is 5 in the key of D flat. So it becomes the major third of the 5 chord that then transitions nicely into the new key, which is D flat major. So we start with C, we go to the 5 chord of D flat. Again, this root becomes the major third, and then we go to the new key. It's a really slick modulation, but what it does is create this note that can be held. So if you're singing or if someone's playing the melody, you have this, and it creates a seamless modulation. I love this one and I use it all the time. So here's a song that demonstrates that technique. Amazing Grace, a song that you probably know. And the end of it goes like this. Okay? Now, if we want to go up a half step, we would use the same technique. Again, the melody is the root. And I just put this little transition chord here going down to the A flat. Now this is A flat, which is 5 of D flat, and then I played the melody. And now I'm in the new key. So let me play that for you again so you can hear it in context. And if I were to play it maybe a little bit more pianistic, it sounds something like this. Lifts the piece of music. So that's one technique, is to use this root becoming the major third. Let me give you another example of a song that would use that same technique. Let's say you're doing the song When I Fall in Love, and you get to the end of the song and you like to go up a half step. So we'd play. And then to beautiful. So again, we start with the end of the song in the key of C. Here's our root. Now it becomes the major third of the A flat, which then leads to the new key. Gorgeous, isn't it? So this next example, we're still going up a half step, but now we're using the root of the 1 chord is going to become the major 7 of the new key. So if the melody ends on C, we use that as a common note, go up a half step, and that C now becomes a major 7 of D flat. Really interesting technique, right? Because again, you're holding this note, and then it becomes the major 7 up a half step. And there's a couple songs that we could use this in, and maybe one of the most popular songs that you would recognize is Don't Know Why, the Norah Jones song, and I'll play it for you here and show you how you might use that. So we go. what just happened? What we did was we went, this is the end of the song, by the way. Don't know why I didn't come. And this is the melody note here, which is C. And then we hold that, go up a half step, there's our major 7, and the melody starts on a major 7. Isn't that interesting? So this now becomes the new melody note in the key of D flat. So let me play that slowly so you could hear this, how this works. So it goes. Here's C, then up a half step. So it's really slick, isn't it? How it just, these notes, we would call that elision when we have something that's held over into something else. And in this case, it's a common note between 2 keys, which makes it seem seamless when you modulate. It's a really great technique. Another song that you could use this on is the song I'm Glad There Is You, which maybe you're not as familiar with, but it's a beautiful ballad. And the end part goes like this. I'm glad there is you. And then the first part of the melody starts with the major 7. So it's in this world. So let me play that for you again. So the end, this is the last 4 measures of the song. It goes. I'm glad there is you. And the song starts off on the major 7. And so then we just go up a half step in this world. So let me play the beginning of the song so you get a little bit of context. So the beginning of the song goes. Now I'm at the last part here. I'm glad there is you in this world. Beautiful, right? So again, it's taking where the root is becoming the major 7 a half step up. Great, okay. Next up, still going up a half step, but another technique that you commonly hear, especially in pop music, is when you have a phrase that then is transposed up a half step that goes into the new key. And one to demonstrate that is the Stevie Wonder tune, You Are the Sunshine of My Life, and it would go something like this. And Stevie actually does that in his arrangement, doesn't he? There's that, the original arrangement uses that technique and goes up a half step. So it takes the end in the key of C. Da, 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 da. So this is our note here, and we just move everything up a half step. So it becomes kind of part of the melody that's being held on that 5 chord. So again, a really cool technique. Just taking the end part of the melody, holding it, and then going up a half step to the 5 chord of the new key. And so as you notice at the end of this, and by the way, this is the end of the bridge of You Are the Sunshine of My Life, right? So we have, because ordinarily it would just go back to C, right? You are the sunshine of my life. But here, we're at the 5 chord, you just lift it up a half step to A flat. Now we're in D flat. So it's a really cool technique. You can use that at the end of a bridge that you're playing. Experiment with that, try it out. Play a phrase and then go up a half step by holding the note, and then go up a half step and then do the last A section in the new key. All right, great. And another one that where we can use this technique is the song The Nearness of You, which is a jazz standard, usually done as a ballad. And so it would go something like this. Holding it and then going up a half step. Isn't that great? great? So this is the end part here. So let me go back up and play that again for you. So this is the end part of the bridge. So on my wildest dreams come true, D minor, now go up a half step, da, 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 da. Last A section, up a half step. Isn't that great? And you can use this in arranging too. You know, if you are arranging for something and you have a song written out and you're kind of tired of playing it in the same key and going back and playing it, because usually songs are played 2 times through, right? So to the second time, maybe you take the end of the bridge and you lift it like that up a half step. It sounds really nice. If you're enjoying this quick tip, you can check out the Music Modulation Essentials course at Piano with Jonny for a deeper dive into modulations. So now we're still going up a half step, but now we're going to use where the minor third is in the melody. And let me explain where that happens. So there's a standard that you probably all know called There Will Never Be Another You, right? And the end part goes, There will never be another you. And actually it's at the end of the first A section. The song is usually like an A-B form. So again, and notice how the third is in the melody. It's the third of the 2 chord, the D minor, right? And then it resolves like that. That's ordinarily how we would do it. But when the 2 chord has that minor third in the melody, here's a really slick way you can modulate. Let's go down to the next example where it says, There will never be another you with modulation. So now we go. Now, whereas before we had this being the 3 of the 2 chord, now check it out. If we go up a half step, now this becomes the 9th of the E flat minor chord. It then goes to A flat 13 and then takes you to D flat, again, up a half step. So let me play that example for you again so you can hear it in context. So. Pretty cool, huh? So we're going up a half step. One thing I want to say is to try to get comfortable, if you're in the key of C, to also then try to be comfortable up a half step in the key of D flat. So get comfortable with the key of D flat because we are going to be transposing these up a half step. That's one of the things that we're talking about, the emotional part of transposing, but also, or modulating I should say, but it's also good to be comfortable playing in other keys so that when you modulate, it's natural to play in that key. So practicing in all the keys is really important. Okay, another song that uses this technique is the song Bewitched, which is another beautiful jazz ballad. Here's what it sounds like without the modulation. And that's at the end of the bridge too, by the way. And so here it is with the modulation. Isn't that pretty? So it's the same idea where the third, again, the third of the 2 chord, so ordinarily it was, right, there's the minor third of the 2 chord, but here we go, it's the 9th of the E flat minor to the A flat 13, and that takes us right to D flat. That's a beautiful song, by the way, Bewitched, another great jazz ballad. So one of my favorite modulations is modulating up a minor third. So far we've just gone up a half step, but there is a really cool way to modulate up a minor third, and it happens in a lot of songs. One song that demonstrates that is the song It Could Happen to You. So let me play part of it here. Again, that's the first half of the song. So it's an A-B song again. So, someone drops a sigh and down you tumble. That's ordinarily without the modulation. But now listen to what we're going to do. We're going to use the melody, down you tumble, and we're going to go da 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 da. We're putting in a 2-5 of the new key. So if we're in the key of C, we're going for E flat major as our minor third. So we're going and playing a 2, 5 of E flat major by using the melody and doing D minor, E minor, F minor 7, B flat 7, and then we're at the new key. Isn't that cool? I love that, in that it just naturally moves up minor to dominant to the 1 chord. So here it is with the modulation. F minor, B flat 7, keep an eye on spring. Isn't that great? So I love that. Another song that uses that is The Days of Wine and Roses, another typical jazz standard, usually done in a medium swing. Again, same thing. At the end of the first A section, it'll modulate up a minor third. Here's how it would sound without the modulation. And then it'd be the second half of the song, right? Okay, now we're going to do it just as we did with It Could Happen to You, where we're going to go D minor, E minor, F minor 7, B flat 7. That'll take us to the key of E flat major, and it goes like this. In fact, Bill Evans uses that in his arrangement is in the key of F, and then he goes up to A flat major. So this is a really cool technique, one that I use all the time, and it doesn't work for every song, but if you can find a song that has a melody at the end of the A section that's moving up like that, it works really well, going from D minor, E minor, F minor to the B flat, taking you to E flat. It's really slick, but it's a really cool thing, and you can use it as part of the melody too. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for being here for this course on modulation. I did want to mention that even though we've only talked about going up a half step and going up a minor third, really you can transpose to any key, and one way of doing that is just to put a 2, a 5 of the key that you're going to.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the lesson, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels, where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.